I used to live in a quaint house located in the middle of practically nowhere, surrounded by vast open spaces. It was a peaceful place, but its remoteness often made it feel eerily isolated. The nearest town was a good 15-minute drive away, and the surroundings were known for their desolate quietness. One day, when I was in the 5th grade, my parents were away at work, leaving me home alone. I didn't mind it much. I was used to being on my own. I decided to make the most of the day, enjoying some TV shows. As I was engrossed in a television program, my phone suddenly rang. I picked it up, expecting to hear a familiar voice on the other end. However, what followed was utterly bizarre and unsettling. As soon as I answered the call, it ended abruptly. I wondered if it had been a simple mistake or a bad connection. But then, the phone rang again. This time, a different voice greeted me. It was an older man, and his voice sent shivers down my spine. He spoke in a way that made my skin crawl. He said, "I noticed you were wearing a really nice blue shirt." I was stunned by his comment because I was indeed wearing a blue shirt. How could he possibly know that? It was a deeply unsettling moment. I asked him how he knew about my shirt, but his response was nothing short of disturbing. He laughed, a sinister, throaty chuckle that made my heart race. Terrified, I decided to take precautions. I locked all the doors and windows in my house and closed the curtains, blocking out any prying eyes. But the man on the phone continued to laugh ominously. As the conversation continued, the man asked about my parents' whereabouts. I told him my dad was taking a shower. His response sent chills down my spine as he chuckled and replied, "Sure." At that point, I couldn't handle the fear and anxiety any longer. I quickly hung up the phone, called my parents, and relayed the entire eerie encounter. They were deeply concerned and took immediate action. My parents contacted the local authorities, and a police officer came to speak with me about the disturbing phone call. To ensure my safety, they decided to patrol our neighborhood for several days. This incident left me with a lingering sense of dread. I couldn't help but wonder about the man's intentions. What would have happened if he had more sinister plans in mind? It was a chilling experience that reminded me of the vulnerability of isolation in the remote countryside. I live alone in my house, and it's usually a quiet and peaceful place. I often have friends over during the weekends, but this particular weekend, I found myself alone at home. While spending time on my laptop, I decided to order a pizza since I was feeling quite hungry. I called the pizza delivery service and placed an order for a large pizza. They told me it would take about 30 to 45 minutes for the pizza to arrive. As I anxiously waited for my pizza, my phone rang. The call was from an unknown number. I answered it, and the deep voice on the other end said, "Outside." Confused, I asked, "Who are you?" The call abruptly ended. I began to feel panicked and unsure about what was happening. I couldn't shake the eerie feeling that something was not right. I decided to glance out of my window, but saw nothing unusual. I returned to the couch and resumed watching my movie, thinking that maybe it was just a wrong number or a prank. However, my phone rang again after a short while, and it was the same unknown number. I picked up the call, and the same deep voice uttered, "In your house." He hung up, leaving me in a state of utter fear. I hesitated for a moment, but then heard footsteps from the first floor of my house. My heart raced, and I felt a shiver down my spine. The unsettling voice on the phone and the sounds from inside my house made me realize that something was terribly wrong. In a panic, I opened my door, rushed to my neighbor's house, and asked them to call 911. The police arrived promptly, and they thoroughly searched my house. Strangely, they found no one inside, and nothing appeared to be stolen. Fortunately, I was safe, but it was an incredibly terrifying experience that left me with many unanswered questions.